Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is with us. His brand new book, Understanding Trump, has been #1 since its release. An amazing, probably, I think, the second biggest book you've ever had. And congratulations. It's on Amazon and bookstores everywhere.
Thank you. It's doing really, really well, and we're very pleased with it. You know, I've been doing some more research after yesterday. I watched the various talk shows on Sunday morning, and the news media is shifting from the old American rule that you're innocent until proven guilty. They've found a new rule for Trump, which is he's guilty until he's proven innocent. And show after show, people would say, look, there's no evidence of collusion, there's no evidence of this, there's no evidence of that, and the host would say, yeah, but what if someday there is? I mean, it was just an amazing demonstration. But I came up, Sean, with some research that I think you're going to find fascinating. We looked at, because people say to me, why am I worried about Mueller and what's changed my opinion? Because initially I was fairly favorable to him. So I'm going to give you 4 numbers that the audience will find intriguing. If you look at the Department of Justice, people there gave Hillary Clinton $286,797. They gave Donald Trump $8,756. Basically, 97% to Hillary, 3% to Trump. And that was pretty bad, and I thought I told you about the culture at the Department of Justice. Now we find that Bob Mueller, the new special counsel, came from a law firm called Wilmer Hale, and the numbers are even worse. Wilmer Hale, as a group, gave $326,798 to Clinton. They only gave $628 to Trump. That's 0.19 of 1%. I mean, think about that. It is just breathtaking.
Let me go to the whole idea here, because this is so key. So you have Comey, who obviously is so outraged that he thinks it's obstruction, but he didn't have the courage. If he was strong enough, he would have walked out of the room. And if he was strong enough, he would have followed 18 U.S.C. 4, and he would have reported it, except, well, he thought that the Attorney General may recuse themselves weeks down the road, so why would he do it? But he wasn't strong enough, but he believed it could have been. He believed he was being pressured as it relates to General Flynn, so he leaks information in the New York Times for the very purpose of getting a special counsel. Then you have Rosenstein, who recommended Comey's firing in a 2-page harsh memo. Then you've got the appointment of Mueller, who now is taking on Clinton's attorneys and top donors to Clinton and Obama. And I'm saying, and you're right about mission creep or investigation creep. I don't even know what's happening here. At this point, this is like by any means necessary, take Trump out.
Well, and the Republicans are kind of sleepwalking. But let me point out, by the way, if you combine the Department of Justice and the Wilmer Hale contributions, it is $613,000 for Clinton and $9,000 for Trump. Now, if I just told you there was a group that split $613,000 to $9,000, wouldn't you expect them to have a bias?
Yes, and they do. I want to ask you this question in light of now we know a list of congressmen. They were specifically being targeted. In other words, an assassination list was found on this guy, James Hodgkinson's body. And on the list were people you know, Mo Brooks in Alabama, Jeff Duncan, Trent Franks, for example, and many others reporting the same thing. It's about 6 Republicans. He asked Duncan and 2 others, are these Republicans? Yeah, then he goes on the shooting rampage. Now, we saw some disobedience this week, nonviolent, where the Shakespeare in the Park play was closing out, I guess, where people literally said, stop the violence against, or the desensitization, if you will, of violence against the sitting president. This on the heels of a severed head, bloodied face of the president being held in ISIS style. This on top of rhetoric we've never heard before. On top of 11 months of black helicopter conspiracy theories by almost every network. When you put this all together, it seems like there is an atmosphere of the left so unhinged that we're now seeing it emerge in other forms. Am I right in that analysis?
Yeah, I think you are right, and I think it all goes back to election night and to the period between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock that night. You know, about 8 o'clock, everybody was confident that Hillary Clinton was going to win. All of the liberals were happy. They were going to continue the Obama mission of using government to radicalize America. They were going to continue to weaken America so that we could not endanger the world. They were going to have liberal Supreme Court justices. 3 hours later, their worst nightmares coming true. I think they might have been a little more passive if Jeb Bush or John Kasich had won, but they were getting, Donald J. Trump, and it was driving them crazy. And I believe for a large part of the left, they have never gotten over the catharsis of that moment and the shattering speed with which they went from victory to defeat. And I think that's what you're seeing, and it's now metastasizing, and every week they become more radical, more confrontational. I have college students all the time who tell me that they feel genuinely oppressed on campus because it is so dangerous to be overtly a Republican or overtly a supporter of Donald Trump.
Well, I have one of the people that went on the stage, by the way, peacefully. Nobody got hurt. I wouldn't support any type of violent disruption, but I do think that a message was being sent by people that see that the presidency is being diminished. The office of the presidency is being diminished by this nonstop harassment and attacks. And you even took it as far over the weekend, and I agree with you, that somebody's going to end up going to jail, not over Trump-Russia collusion, over whatever investigative creep they end up, fixating on, or if a perjury trap is finally set 3 years into this for somebody that doesn't completely remember a series of events that happened years earlier.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to believe that this collection of left-wing lawyers, high-powered, very expensive, are going to leave their jobs for 6 months or a year and go home without a trophy. I mean, I think it's almost like a Western movie where they're now on the warpath and they've got to get a couple scalps. And I don't think they're going to get Donald J. Trump, but if I were anyone near him, needs to beware that you are in danger of getting set up by these lawyers. And two of the lawyers have a tradition, they have a track record of hiding information from the defense and of rigging the case in ways, in one case they were repudiated 9-0 by the Supreme Court. But by the time the court ruled, they had destroyed a company with 85,000 employees.
Unbelievable. All right, Newt Gingrich is with us. A few more moments with him on the other side of this. His brand new book, Understanding Trump. It's on Amazon.com, Hannity.com, bookstores everywhere. And one of his biggest bestsellers to date, an insider's look into why this man was able to overcome all these odds and be successful. And, of course, this unprecedented hatred towards him. As we continue, Sean Hannity Show, toll-free. Our telephone number is 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. Laura Loomer with Rebel.com was arrested Friday night. She was one of the people that peacefully went to the stage at this Shakespeare in the Park. Is this dangerous? One, the rhetoric that's being used. Two, the symbolism of a severed head, ISIS pose, bloodied face of a president, Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, let's kill a Trump lookalike. Now, some people say, well, that happened to Obama in 2012. It was never near an issue like this is today. How do you compare rhetoric to action?
Well, let me say, first of all, I thought it was very telling that even after the shooting on Wednesday, the people doing the play in New York couldn't put a black wig on their version of Caesar. I mean, it wouldn't have been that hard to simply say, look, well, let us prove to you this is not about Trump. We're going to put the guy in a black wig. He won't even look like Trump. They couldn't even bring themselves to do that. And I think it just tells you how determined they are to be outrageous and to be anti-Trump. I do think that the rhetoric is getting more intense, but I would remind you that, and this is something you used to talk about during the Obama years, that Obama had some friends who went around the country bombing people. And the period at the peak of the Vietnam War struggle, there was probably even more tension than there is now. And I think you get into these cycles where there are really big issues at stake and where emotions start building, and of course on the left, it's very ironic. The people who talk about bullying are the bullies. They're the people who are the most likely on campuses and in other settings to tell you to shut up. And I think that part of what is driving them crazy is that you can't shut Donald Trump up, that he's fearless, he's going to do what he believes in, and I think that is part of what is keeping his base with him, and I think that he's actually starting to turn a corner and rebuild that base in a way that if I were the left, I'd be very worried about.
What do you make of the Georgia 6 tomorrow, which is such a big deal? In this sense, I mean, it's not a seat that would normally be in play. It's your old district, but it's been, I think, redistricted since. But what is your take on the importance of tomorrow?
I mean, first of all, unless you look at the total amount, which one analyst told me they thought was $50 million, that has been spent by the Democrats, you can't appreciate why this is a race. But if you spend $50 million in one district, you're going to have an impact. And that's basically what has kept the Democrat propped up, is that they spent so much out-of-state money in such huge quantities. I think Karen Handel has come on very strong. She's a Republican. She's lived in the district. Ironically, her opponent, the Democrat, doesn't even live in the district, cannot vote for himself tomorrow. If he loses by one vote, it'll be him.
That, by the way, is hilarious to me.
Yeah, and I think that Handel's made a very good case. I mean, she's gone right at the notion that the Democrat ultimately is going to be with the Nancy Pelosi's and the Elizabeth Warrens and the Chuck Schumers, and those are not values Georgians have. And my guess is, as of now, and I was talking to Randy Evans, who is one of the people I trust most on Georgia politics, he believes she will probably win by 52-47, and that, of course, would be a huge victory. If she does win after this much money being spent, having also won in Kansas and in Montana in recent specials, I predict if she does win that the Democrats will go into a very deep depression and
I think
really
you're right.
be desperate about what they need to do.
Listen, I know Randy for years. If he says so, I trust him, but that should not give anybody comfort until they go vote in the Georgia 6 for tomorrow.
The easy message for every Republican in the 6th District
vote.
is go vote.
Yeah. By the way, and I love the Democrat can't vote for himself. Newt Gingrich's brand new book, Understanding Trump, Hannity.com, Amazon.com, bookstores everywhere. We'll see you tonight on TV. We have a very important opening monologue tonight. When we